Ellie and the New Elephants, a Jungle Adventure. Chapter 1, The Beginning. Once upon a time, in a lush green jungle, there lived a happy elephant named Ellie. Ellie was known for her cheerful and friendly nature, and she had many friends in the jungle. She would spend her days exploring the different parts of the jungle with her friends, playing in the rivers and lakes, and munching on delicious fruits and vegetables. Ellie's closest friends were a group of mischievous monkeys who lived in the trees nearby. They would often play pranks on each other and have great fun. One day, while they were playing in the river, the monkeys suggested they all go on an adventure to explore a new part of the jungle they had never been to before. Ellie was excited at the prospect of a new adventure and immediately agreed to join them. They set off early the next morning, with Ellie leading the way. They walked for hours, crossing rivers and climbing over hills, until they finally reached a dense and mysterious part of the jungle. As they explored, they came across a beautiful waterfall, and they decided to take a break and have a picnic by the water's edge. As they sat and ate, they noticed a group of strange animals in the distance. They looked like elephants, but they were different from any they had ever seen before. Chapter 2, The New Elephants. Ellie and her friends were curious about the strange elephants, so they decided to approach them. As they got closer, they could see that the new elephants were much bigger and stronger than they were. They also had different colored skin, and they were covered in beautiful patterns. The new elephants were initially wary of the group, but Ellie stepped forward and greeted them with a friendly trumpeting. The new elephants were pleasantly surprised by Ellie's kind nature, and they welcomed her and her friends to their herd. Ellie and her friends were amazed by the new elephants and the way they lived. They had built a huge and luxurious home in the jungle and were surrounded by all sorts of luxuries. They had beautiful gardens, delicious fruits and vegetables, and even a swimming pool. Ellie and her friends were overjoyed to have made such wonderful new friends, and they spent the rest of the day exploring their new home and learning about the new elephant's way of life. They were amazed at how different and yet how similar they were. Chapter 3, The Trouble. For a while, Ellie and her friends lived happily with the new elephants, enjoying their new home and all the luxuries it had to offer. But one day, trouble came to the jungle. A group of hunters came into the jungle and started to hunt down the animals for their meat and ivory. Ellie and her friends were horrified by the hunters' cruel actions and knew they had to do something to stop them. They rallied the other animals in the jungle and together they came up with a plan to drive the hunters away. With the help of the new elephants, they were able to chase the hunters out of the jungle. The animals were relieved and grateful to Ellie and her friends for their bravery and quick thinking, but the hunters were not willing to give up so easily. They returned to the jungle with more men and more weapons, determined to capture the animals and take their ivory. Ellie and her friends knew they had to act fast to protect their home and their friends. Chapter 4, The Triumph. Ellie and her friends knew that they couldn't fight the hunters alone, so they went to the new elephants for help. The new elephants were more than willing to assist, and together they came up with a plan to defeat the hunters once and for all. They used their intelligence and strength to outsmart the hunters and led them away from the jungle. The hunters were no match for the combined forces of the elephants and the other animals. They were eventually driven out of the jungle and the animals were safe once again. The hunters were never seen in the jungle again and the animals lived in peace and harmony. Ellie and her friends were hailed as heroes by all the animals in the jungle. They had saved their home and their friends, and they had shown that with determination and teamwork, anything is possible. The new elephants were grateful to Ellie and her friends for their help and they became the best of friends. They decided to stay in the jungle and make it their permanent home. Ellie and her friends had many more adventures together, but they would always remember the day they saved the jungle and the new elephants became a part of their family. They all lived happily ever after, in their beautiful and peaceful jungle home.